Is Bear Bachmeier really not a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12? Because I found a quarterback ranking that does not list him. And with all the money Texas Tech is paying Brendan Sorsby, he's got to be the best QB in the league, right? Maybe not. Let's check out the list from one of the best in the biz, Shahan Jeyarajah at CBS Sports. Respect him immensely. I think if you are paying attention to college football on a national scale of the guys who cover the sport from a national perspective, he's got a better feel for the Big 12 than anybody else out there. So I pay attention to this, right? This is not just some random AI-generated ESPN list. This is a guy who knows and follows the Big 12 pretty intimately. Now, we disagree on some of these, but that doesn't mean, like I said, it's not a really thought-provoking exercise from somebody that I respect a lot to go through these rankings, okay? He ranked the Big 12 quarterbacks 1 through 16. Let's go find it here. Share this tab instead. Here we are. All right. So you can see the first couple there. Isaiah Marshall at Kansas, who he predicts will eventually win that job. Cole Ballard is involved in the quarterback competition there. Cole Ballard, I would imagine, would probably get the start at the beginning of the season. We'll see. Maybe Kansas fans would disagree with me on that. West Virginia also going to have a quarterback battle. Scotty Fox, Michael Hawkins, remember him from Oklahoma. He transferred in there. You've got a couple here at the bottom that are just like, starting at the bottom, like, okay, we have a couple quarterback battles. Don't even know who's going to win it. So makes sense as to where you would start the year down that low. Now, we're starting to get into a tier of transfers. All right. And this is where not only is this a thought-provoking exercise, it's like some good homework to go through if you're a Big 12 fan with the portal. Familiarize yourself with some of the new quarterbacks that are going to be in the league, because now we hit a tier of here's your transfers. And fairly high-profile ones at that. I mean, J.C. French from Georgia Southern put up big numbers, 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns each of the last 2 years. Now he's turnover prone, but that's the Brendan Sorsby replacement at Cincinnati. Jalen Raynor at Iowa State, played at Arkansas State last year. I mean, look at those numbers. 8,500 yards passing, 1,100 yards rushing, 65 TDs in the last 3 seasons. That's a lot of production. There's your replacement at Iowa State. Cutter Boley, Arizona State, right? Pretty good as a freshman at Kentucky, but 258 yards in an OT loss to Texas, 330 yards, 5 TDs against Tennessee. Didn't start and play the whole year. How's that going to work at Arizona State? Like, I don't know. With these guys, it's like I see the upside there. It's hard to know where exactly to slot them. I'm not going to argue with a lot of this. And talk about tough guys to figure out here. Like, what do you do with Julian Lewis, man? Julian Lewis, one of the most high-profile quarterbacks in the country, but sitting there now at Colorado, like what, tough year last year. I think people liked, in general, their transfer portal haul this year, but is that a program that will have the infrastructure to truly support him and allow him to take off? I don't know, man. We'll see, but I do have my doubts, even as talented as he is, but there's a lot of upward mobility there. Obviously, a monster ceiling there if he were to hit that. Is it Alonze Barnett? I remember looking this up in the college football playoff. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. But James Madison, you saw this guy playing pretty well for James Madison against Oregon. I mean, especially when you hold that up in contrast to what Texas Tech's offense did. I mean, you hold Barnett in comparison to Baron Morton against Oregon in the college football playoff. Barnett looks pretty good. Did it at Autzen, too. He's now going to be at UCF. Jaden Craig at TCU. I do think this is a guy who could explode this year. Watch out. Gordon Sammies, the offensive coordinator that was hired from UConn for TCU, seems like I think that could be a guy who's really making a meteoric rise in college football. Pair him with the TCU infrastructure. I think he could be pretty good. Here's where it really starts to get interesting, though, right? Because you kind of have from like 9 down, it's all these quarterbacks that are new or guys in quarterback battles. So, you can make an argument for your guy or a guy or two, but it's really hard to parse through a lot of that. Now we're starting to get to some of the names that you have a much better idea what a lot of these guys are. Avery Johnson at 8. Look, I can't argue much with that. I can't. I think the only guy in this tier that I would probably put Avery Johnson above is just DJ Lagway, because I understand the talent. I understand he was at one point the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country. He's been wildly erratic at Florida, turning it over almost as much as he gets it in the end zone. I got to see it, man. Especially then at Baylor, too. I don't know that I feel great about Dave Aranda's program right now and the infrastructure there. I got to see it, but I understand with the talent there. And Avery Johnson didn't do himself any favors last year. It was a disappointing year. I have optimism that Colin Klein will be the guy to lift him up, but I can't fight Avery Johnson at 8 too much. Devin Dampier, I mean, that's another name that is almost a bit staggering to look at and be like, man, are we really saying Devin Dampier is the 7th best quarterback in the conference? That seems a bit harsh, but the case that's being made here is like, hey, and it's a fair one from Shahan, is that Devin Dampier has got to rely an awful lot on his legs to be successful. We saw when he was forced to try and beat teams with his arm, Texas Tech game, for instance, couldn't really do it. BYU game wasn't going to really be able to do that. And now you've lost a lot of talent on the offensive line. You lost the offensive line coach. The offensive line is just going to be much, much different this year for Utah. So that could take a step back. And I would even submit to this. Does Bird Ficklin take over the job at some point? Like, he seems like a guy with a higher ceiling than Dampier. Lagway, you already kind of heard my thoughts there. Wild talent, wild upside. I don't know. I have not seen the consistency that you would need to see to make me feel good about putting him in the top 5. Now we're in the top 5. And this is where, like, Connor Weigman. I know I'm going to talk about Bear Bachmeier here. And guys, please do subscribe to the channel. Just one click, subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 35K subs. It helps me out if you are someone who watches the channel. Connor Weigman, I think, has a ton of upside here too, man. You talk about a guy that could really vault his way up the list this year. I love what Houston's doing. I love what Willie Fritz is doing. Connor Weigman is another guy with some pedigree in terms of what he was, his high school recruiting prowess, where he was at coming out of high school. I think that's a very stable system. He's got Amari Thomas back. They have Mekhi Hughes now added to the backfield, restocked the offensive line in the transfer portal as well. I like what Houston's doing and what they're building there. I think Weigman could be poised for a huge, huge year. Now, Bear Bachmeier at 4. I got to say, that's the one where I'm like, man, he was so good last year. I mean, he's like giving you, I hate to say it, he's like giving you some Tim Tebow vibes almost last year. Obviously, the comps in terms of just like size and movement out on the field, but then, winning as much as he did as a true freshman. Guys, Bear Bachmeier did not get spring ball last year. Now he gets to go through a full offseason spring ball. It's with the same offensive coordinator. Aaron Roderick is still there. Boy, I don't know. Even at the end of the year, I know he didn't look great against Texas Tech. He's dealing with an injury for much of that game. Like, I love the potential of Bear Bachmeier to just rocket up people's radars this year. I mean, he's already on the radar, but I don't know if you go up a radar. You get the point. I think Bear Bachmeier or Connor Weigman could both be number 1 by the end of the year. Either one of those guys could be. Now, I'm not going to really gripe too much about Drew Mestemaker at number 3 there. Some of this, I think, is this just like a marketing deal? Like, Drew Mestemaker has better marketing because he hit the portal and was a really coveted player in the portal. Like, I genuinely, and I'm not, Shahan, I think, backs this up. Like, I mean, Drew Mestemaker put up crazy, insane video game numbers. Like, I get it. His numbers are a little more eye-catching than Bear Bachmeier, but I do think sometimes, like, subconsciously, we get a little more infatuated with the guys in the portal just because they become such hot commodities and people care so much about the portal. It's such a huge part of, like, the interest level in college football right now that can elevate you a level above, as opposed to like the stable guy, Bear Bachmeier, who just stayed in the comfortable system that was raising him very well before. Now, speaking of systems, Mestemaker is going to be playing for Eric Morris too. So it is kind of like staying at North Texas, but then being in the Big 12 at the same time. I think Mestemaker will be great. I don't doubt that Oklahoma State will have a great offense. And now here, how about this? I mean, it's not even Brendan Sorsby who's number 1. Noah Fifita at number 1. Now, I'm all for some Noah Fifita respect. I respect the hell out of him. I think he's a great quarterback. I respect him for sticking around last year when it looked like things were falling apart a bit for Brent Brennan after year 1. And not only that, but he loses T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, his guy he had been playing with since before Arizona, right? They go back a ways. He goes to the NFL. They had a really rough season with high expectations. Their first year in the Big 12, he stuck around, throws for 3,228 yards and 29 TDs, leads Arizona to a great season. All the respect in the world. And 2 out of 3 years now for Fifita at Arizona, they have had a phenomenal season with him. I do think Brendan Sorsby has a higher upside, and a lot of that is just because of the legs. But again, I'm talking marketing here versus production, which I was kind of arguing. I'm arguing almost the opposite thing here if I'm saying Brendan Sorsby should be ahead of Noah Fifita, right? Because Sorsby was a portal king, right? Got blown up in terms of popularity, notoriety because of the portal. And then also just you watch him play, he's a guy that's going to beat you with his legs more. He's just a little flashier in the way that he plays, I think, than Noah Fifita. Fifita's not as much the dual threat guy, which I think can affect some of that too. So, look, I don't think these are bad rankings at all. I think the biggest takeaway I have of this is like, you got some good quarterbacks in the Big 12, man. You got some good quarterbacks. Like I said, Bird Ficklin is not even, he didn't get a mention on this list, and he's a wildly talented piece for Morgan Scalley and company to be using. And as I look through the top 5 here, I think this top 5 is really good, really strong. Noah Fifita, Brendan Sorsby, Drew Mestemaker, Bear Bachmeier, Connor Weigman. You know, I mean, you're talking about losing Sam Levitt to the portal, but the league has rebounded. Well, it's just like outside of that, the league has done very, very well. Very, very well to think about this. Especially you look at, I mean, Sorsby and Mestemaker, and Lagway. I mean, they took 3 of the absolute most talented quarterbacks in the portal to make up for losing Sam Levitt. So let me know what you think in the comments. I know someone, well, John, what's your list? Okay, if you're going to pin me down here, man, I had this narrowed down earlier. I honestly, like, I kind of want to go Bear Bachmeier 1, like Bachmeier 1, Fifita 2, Mestemaker 3, Sorsby 4. I could definitely change Sorsby over, probably Sorsby 3, Mestemaker 4. I'll say Mestemaker, prove it to me at this level, prove it to me in the Big 12. But any of those guys could end up being number 1 with a bullet by the end of the year, and it would not shock me at all. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of this list also.